Good morning. We have two pet ducks at work. Well, they're not really pets, they're completely wild and they come and visit us from time to time. And they're sometimes here in the morning if I'm here early enough before all the traffic and everyone starts arriving. I actually always walk around with a pocket full of seed just because I quite like to feed them, which is a little bit embarrassing. But anyway, they're now sitting there with a pile of seed and they're quite happy, and actually that makes today a slightly better day. So just say hello to the ducks behind me. Morning, it's Saturday morning. I'm just out feeding the birds and waiting to see whether I'm going to need to give Tamsin a hand to set up at the market. At the moment, there's a little bit of a debate going on about whether it's windy or not. There's some people who are saying it is, and some who are saying it isn't, and some who think it's safe, and some who think it's unsafe. So I don't know. I'm not passing judgment about whether there's any wind or not today. I'm just going to stay out of it and wait for the official answer. That said, I do have to admit that I'm not particularly looking forward to trying to set up a giant kite on stilts today. But before I do anything else, I think I need a cup of coffee. First job is to empty the coffee grinds onto the potato patch. It actually makes really good fertilizer for the soils. So in the end, we made a final decision and we decided it was far too nice a day to miss the market. Here we are setting up. And that's us all set up now. The rain's eased off, the wind's calmed down just a tiny little bit. There's no one out yet, so we're all still just loitering around and drinking coffee. But hopefully all the customers will start appearing soon. Well, that's me back from the market. The weather picked up a little bit. On the way back, I nipped into work. I had a little bit of paperwork left over from yesterday, and I had my appraisal to do as well. And God, I hate my appraisal. It's a real paperwork exercise. You have to tell everything honestly, but you also have to fib about everything. For example, oh, I love filling out forms. I like forms so much. Give me more forms. Or, yes, I have inspirational goals for the future. I know how I'm going to make the world a better place. It's not like I'm sitting in the office listening to people's health problems all day. What I'm really doing is going out there and changing the entirety of human existence. Or even just, yes, I think the system is really good. It's not at all corrupt. It's not a political football. The people in the positions of power aren't incompetent, vindictive, vexatious idiots. They are brilliant. Anyway, I struggle with all of that. I know it's not true. The person doing the appraisal knows it's not true. And the people in authority absolutely know it's not true. They have to live with themselves and they know how incompetent and vindictive they are. But there are boxes to fill and forms to tick, and those forms won't fill themselves out, so somebody has to do them. And the more ineffective and cumbersome a process is, the more it validates people in jobs who probably shouldn't be in jobs that shouldn't exist. Right, that's my 5th recording of this. Have I made it positive enough? I've watered that right down. That's me up and showered and it looks like a beautiful day outside. So before we start our next round of IVF, I'm thinking I might just take myself on a very quick ad hoc camping trip. Right, that's me all set up. It's absolutely baking here, even with the tent flap open. The sun's out and it gets so warm in here so quickly, which is very impressive. I've got everything I need. I've got my coffee. I've got my Kindle, so that should keep me entertained. The reason for going camping at the moment is because everyone in Cornwall seems to be at some sort of festival or another, and I'm not. So before we start our next round of IVF, this seems like a good opportunity. So we'll be going up to Bristol again later this week, which is going to be a nice little trip. I'll film that as well. But for now, I'm going to just enjoy my camping trip. But anyway, now it's getting a little bit close to lunchtime. So the first thing I need to do is the manly thing. and go hunting for my lunch. And I have to say that was a really successful hunt right from my tent. Look at what I caught. Now to enjoy the fruits of my manly exploits. I have to admit, I probably shouldn't have started with the crisps, but now I've also managed to hunt myself down some lunch. Yummy egg sandwich. It's getting later in the day and it's starting to get a bit colder, so I've decided to climb into my sleeping bag. It's ever so cozy. I forgot how warm a sleeping bag was. As you can see, I've got my book, so that's the entertainment for the evening all sorted. Thankfully it's a Kindle with a backlight, so I can even read when it starts to go completely dark. What I really fancy is a nice beer, but I'm having a bit of a health drive at the moment with no alcohol, partly ready for the IVF treatment. So instead, I have my Pringles still. I don't know what happened to Pringles, by the way. Do you remember how the advert used to be that once you pop, you can't stop? And it was true, once you started eating them, you literally couldn't put them down. That's really not the case anymore, is it? If anyone knows, tell me the answer. On the topic of IVF, I've got an old IVF pen here with me today. It's out of date, it's still got a little bit left in it. It seems such a shame to throw it out, as it's probably about £1,000 for this one injector device, but it's past its expiry date, and even though I wouldn't normally have a problem using medications a bit past when they're expired,
although of course I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else,
it's probably not worth the risk of it not working properly during a really expensive IVF treatment. So I've got this device, which it seems a shame to waste, but we're going to have to throw it out. So this is what the pen devices actually look like with the lid on. It's currently set at 0, as you can probably see between my finger and thumb, but this is it with its lid. There's a push button at one end and a pen cap at the other end. You can pop the cap off like this, and that shows the actual injecty bit with the medication, and a little bit at the end, which is going out of focus, a little bit at the end there, and a little needle sticks into one end of there, and there's another little injecting needle that points in the other direction. Then the way it works is you twist the dial to set the number of units that you want. There you go, that's it on 37.5. Give the skin a little pinch and put the needle in and press the button, which it probably isn't going to work just now because it can't release the pressure, but that's the way that you do it. So that's all there is to it. It's really simple, really straightforward. Obviously it is quite sore, not for me obviously giving the injections, but for poor Tamsin, who having to have 1 or 2 injections every day, it's really quite painful and quite tender. But technically it's incredibly easy, incredibly straightforward. Lots of plastic wastage from these devices as well, though. I went to a lecture recently where we were talking about the amount of wastage from plastic insulin injectors, and the amount of plastic that gets wasted throughout the world is frightening. From memory, they were talking about literally millions of tons of single-use plastic just on insulin devices. Obviously, insulin is important, but it doesn't need to be sold in single-use disposable devices. There are reusable injector devices, which you can load with a single cartridge. It's far more environmentally friendly, perhaps not as convenient, but the devices are much better quality, and some of the modern ones even connect up to your phone. Right, now I think I might relax and read for a little bit. Actually, scratch that plan for a moment. I need to get something for Tamsin's birthday, so I better get shopping on Amazon. I'm not sure what I'm going to get, which is why I've left it so last minute. What she really wants is a big yellow canvas case. I don't know if anyone's tried looking for a big canvas case, but do it now. Have a look for a big yellow canvas suitcase and see if you can find anything, because at least in the UK, there really doesn't seem to be anything that's not made out of solid, heavy plastic. The other thing that we've not been able to find recently that she keeps reminding me that we need is dishwasher powder. I have found that on Amazon, so that might have to be her birthday present instead. Morning. It looks like a really nice day outside. There's a tiny bit of rain overnight, but now it is looking gorgeous. Tamsin's just messaged me to say that we've got a scan booked on Friday. Unfortunately, I've got Thursday off, so I will have to beg work now and see if I can get an extra day off. She's also thinking it would be really nice to get a super last-minute trip over to Copenhagen. I don't know if anyone's ever been there. I've always wanted to see The Little Mermaid, so I'm kind of tempted, though I'm not sure if we can afford it just now. You only live once, as they say. But for now, I think I need to make myself some breakfast, and I will get packing up soon.